King Charles reading yesterday's speech from the throne marks the first time a sitting monarch has done so here in almost 70 years. His mother, Queen Elizabeth, was the last one. Over the years, support for the monarchy has been an ebb and flow scenario. During the past couple of years, it's been sliding, but that seems to be turning around according to a new Ipsos poll. And we do have some results from that poll right here. Where'd it go? There we go. So, the new poll out, Canada's relationship with the monarchy is useful because it helps to keep us different from the United States. 66% agree with that statement. In April, it was only 54% agreeing with that statement. And in September of 2022, only 60% agreed with that statement. The next one, traditions like Canada's relationship with the monarchy are important to our heritage and help to make Canada and Canadians who we are. 65% agree with that statement. In April, it was only 58%. And back in September of 2022, it was 61%. This is an interesting one. King Charles is doing a good job in his role as monarch. 59% agree. Last month, it was 54%, so we notched it up a bit. The king and the royal family should not have any formal role in Canadian society. The royals are simply celebrities and nothing more. 59% agree with that at the moment. In April, it was 67% that agreed with that. And back in September 2022, 63%. The constitutional monarchy helps to define Canadian identity and should continue to be our form of government. Now, 56% of those surveyed agreed with that. In April, it was only 48%. And in September 2022, 55%. And the final question, Canada should end its formal ties to the British monarchy. 46% agree with that statement. In April, 58% agreed with it. And in September of 2022, you had 54% agreeing with that. So there does seem to be a warm-up that's taking place here when it comes to the royals. And I'm not sure why. Any thoughts, Eddie?
I really couldn't tell you. I don't know if it's I mean, look at it this way. Let's say, for example, the king did not deliver the throne speech, and they ran this particular survey. I'm not convinced that we would see what you just presented, where there is an uptick in terms of the support for British royalty. But you know what? It is what it is. He did accept the invitation to come here and deliver the throne speech. He did so. He added his personal touch at the beginning when he talked about his mom and genuinely was proud of what she had accomplished during her reign in Canada. He expressed that. I don't know. I think a lot of what we're feeling right now, Gary, is a lot more people are jumping on the bandwagon and looking for any sort of momentum or any sort of certainty or anything we can throw into our resume up here in differentiating and distancing ourselves and differentiating ourselves from the United States of America. I think that has a lot to do with it. And, they must have taken this poll sometime yesterday, I would imagine. I would think after the throne speech, so the numbers are going to look pretty good. I'm interested in seeing what next month presents. I mean, are we going to go back to the same old? Are we going to carry the wave of momentum on the coattails of the throne speech? I think time will tell. But I feel a lot of this has to do with Canadians looking for something to separate ourselves from the United States and not identifying ourselves as part of America or part of North America, but further identifying ourselves as Canada in North America.
All right, let's bring up a couple of comments. Nancy says the royal presence was the highlight for her as far as the throne speech was concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and okay, and then we go to Monel. I don't really care about the monarchy, but I'm glad he came and that we showed down south extra power. They can just stay to the south, ruin their own country, and leave us alone. And from Deborah, King Charles gave us a nod, but that's all he's able to do. He's a figurehead here and in the UK. Policy, however, can change our lives. Okay. So we're caught up on those comments. And of course, our second question is, what is driving renewed support for the monarchy? Tradition, current events, or something else?
Mm-hmm.
I,
Yeah.
I think personally, if we're warming up again, or Canadians are warming up again to the monarchy, I think that it comes from the emotions that are flowing just because of what's been happening south of the border and what
Mm-hmm.
we've been putting up with. And we're maybe a lot of us are turning back and looking back at where our traditional ties are as far as sovereignty is concerned and that sort of thing. Um, I'll be upfront. I'm no monarchist by any stretch of the imagination. And frankly, I know what the prime minister was trying to do in getting the king to come and read the speech from the throne. I get part of the playbook in helping to express sovereignty. But if, you know what, if we are a sovereign nation, then we don't need somebody coming over from the UK to read a speech to help express our sovereignty in that way. I'm sorry, we just don't need it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know, you're going to end
But
up with the Governor General, who is the Queen's or the King's representative in Canada, which again is pain in my butt as well, quite frankly. Um, I just think as a nation, we don't need that anymore. That that was the last century. This is the new century, the 21st century, 2025, and we are a country that, in a lot of ways, a country to be reckoned with. No doubt about it. And Trump knows that we're rich in resources. We have a lot of smart people in this country, and we can do a lot of things with very little at times. Just look at what our military has pulled off over the last number of years with, low funding, but our military still is looked up to for its ability to do a number of things. And and prime example was in the First War and the Second World War. Canadians always seem to get be at the front of the line for a lot of the major operations because we just pulled our weight. We pulled above our weight.
Right.
So I just don't get it. And he comes with his wife, the Queen, and they're here for 2 days. They arrive, midday on Monday, and late morning, early afternoon Tuesday, they're gone after he does the speech from the throne and then lays a wreath at the National War Monument.
Did they come over here on our plane? Did you notice that?
I
It was,
did.
it was the RCAF aircraft.
Well, because we invited them over. So
With the amount of money they had, they should have gotten on their own airplane. But okay, they're
yeah.
you know.
Well, it's like if you're doing consulting work, it's here's the fee plus expenses. So
I guess.
yeah, and that's what he was doing. He was doing consulting work. I'm here to consult and express your sovereignty. So
Well, you know what, Gary? I mean, yeah, I hear what you're saying. I agree with you wholeheartedly about the monarchy and us being a sovereign nation. We don't need the monarchy here. But at the rate at the possibility of being ridiculed for paraphrasing, let's call a spade here. um, it worked at this particular moment with everything that's going on in the world, especially with our neighbors to the south and Herr Trump. Um, I think this is something that Canada needed at this particular time. I'm just kind of trying to look at the other side of it from the devil's advocate perspective. Let's say, for example, we were not part of the monarchy, right? How would that speech the speech from the throne go yesterday? As you mentioned, the Governor General would have been the one delivering it. I don't think it would have had the impact on Canadians from coast to coast with the Governor General delivering the same message. Um, so you know what? Maybe call me a hypocrite, but I'm not a monarchist, but I'm glad we were able to get some value out of the monarchy for a change. Does that make sense?
yeah, it makes sense. But my question is, um, how much did it really? How much of an impact did it really make? And I would suggest it really didn't make any kind of an impact. As a matter of fact, our the guy in the Oval Office surfaced yesterday on Truth Social with that comment
Yeah.
and bringing it up the 51st state again. So did
So
did we really score any points?
yeah.
But then the other side of it is, as was pointed out by a commentator, and I totally agree. Trump did not want to be off the news tickers in this country and have
Right.
the king and like for whatever reason a lot of the mainstream legacy media in the US, whenever there's something to do with the royals, they just gobble it up. They love it. Yeah. So I guess he just wanted to make sure that he was out there and his name was out there and the
Right.
face he just as he's a narcissist and I
So
don't know.
so I guess what you're saying in a deck of 52 cards, are you saying that the Joker needed to trump the king? That's
Exactly.
exactly what it is.
Good one.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Uh, Now coming back to the question about and where'd we go with the question? Let's bring it up again. Oops. And we want that guy. There we go. What is driving renewed support for the monarchy, tradition, current events, or something else? And Monel says current events. And I don't disagree with that. I think that, as I said earlier, I think that a lot of Canadians were looking for something. And this was
Yeah.
the other side of it is to remember too, the first couple of months, this country was really without a leader. Trudeau's resignation didn't take effect until March, but after that day, after that day in January, when he announced he was going to step down, he basically just kind of faded into the woodwork. And so we were leaderless. So, maybe a lot of people at that point in time were looking for something, some kind of semblance of a leader. I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah.
It could very well be. Okay, now we've got some comments coming rolling in here again too. So let's see. Uh, oh, there we go. Nancy says, there we go. Trump has dissed all of the Canadian military accomplishments in the past. The King gave an impactful, respectful thank you to our troops. Yes, he did. He actually did do that. And you're right, Nancy. He has dissed our military big time. And he has no right whatsoever when you look at the contributions that Canadians have made. And we were there with them in Afghanistan,
everywhere except Vietnam, pretty much everywhere.
Yep, exactly. Deborah says Trump sees King Charles as a usurper. And Monel says, Gary, I don't agree with you. I think this made an impact on Trump. It really pissed him off because he has a lot of respect for King Charles. The whole castle and parades and jewelry thing. I don't know if it's respect or envy. I'd say I respectfully disagree on that part and say I think it's more envy than respect. Trump doesn't respect anyone but himself. Period. But I don't disagree with other parts of your statement, but I would say it's not respect, it's envy. And Trump tends to throw the word respect around very, 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 very loosely.
Loosely, yeah.
Yeah, very loosely. So, and usually when he's doing that, it's because he's envious. He said at one point about having respect for the prime minister.
Heck, he had respect for Putin.
Yeah.
He actually came out and said it. So, yeah.
And now he's on, there's a lover's quarrel going on there. Yeah. And then look at Elon. Elon just took a real shot at him the other day. And there's a major crack in that relationship. And Elon's packed his bags and moved out. So they're separated. Yeah.
Didn't you call that? When that union happened, Gary, didn't you call it? You basically said it was going to be just a matter of short time before Elon's going to have enough of this guy and get out of Dodge.
Yep.
It's exactly what you said.
Yep. And he was either going to go on his own or they were going to reach an agreement to get out because he was upstaging Trump. And,
Makes sense.
Yeah, and that does not go over well with Trump. So, yeah. Anyway, that's the monarchy side of it. I was quite surprised actually by that survey and the fact that monarchy is trending upward again. Now, let's see how long it lasts. Is it like a viral video around for a couple of days, like? The nuns in South America doing beatbox on TikTok? We'll see. We shall see. Okay.
You know what's good to see, Gary? At least we can put on a good, respectful welcome and show for the King and Queen of England, and a nice, respectful show to the rest of the world that was either watching it live or they're going to be watching it on reruns someplace. It was well done. It was very polished. It was very well orchestrated. It allowed for personalities to come through in terms of how it was covered by the media here. So once again, I think Canada had done itself proud in the way we welcomed them and the way we treated them for 2 days straight.